out of here. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Now, before we get going, this video is sponsored by the awesome people over at Distrokid, which, funny enough, I had just signed up for, and then they emailed me about sponsoring an episode, and I was like, yes! So if you don't know what Distrokid is, basically it's a way to get your music online on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. It's only $19.99 a year, and that's what's crazy about it. So, like I said, I had already signed up, and then when they reached out, I was like, of course, you know, I already was kind of digging the service. So, if you guys want to check out DistroKid, I have a link down below. You can save yourself 7% on the first year if you like to. And it is an incredible tool, because for someone like me, I didn't even know how to get my music on iTunes. I was like, I don't know, does it just show up on iTunes? So, other than that, make sure you check out DistroKid. I have been completely happy with them, and their customer service helping me set this stuff up was like instant. So check that out. Links are down below if you want to hear all that. You notice there's no ads on this video. It's sponsored, so I took ads off for the first week. So let's go ahead and get to the actual video. So we have 5 ways to better songwriting. These are just 5 simple tools that I use when I'm trying to write a song. Sometimes if I'm stuck, you know, I'm like, what can I do with this song? You know, I don't really know where to take it. So I think these might help you for trying to write your own music. We're going to go ahead and jump into the first of the 5 tips, and let's get going. So tip number 1. So basically, I have an idea that I just came up with, a riff that goes like this. And what I talk about is how you can find your ideas. And, you know, it's a very common thing that I hear people say, you know, don't force a song. The song will kind of write itself. It comes to you. And I agree. You know, it's very tough to force a song. Sometimes you have to. You know, sometimes you have deadlines. You need to write something. But a lot of times what I think is left out from that tip is that how you get to that point where the song kind of writes itself. It's not just going to, like, magically appear. What you have to do is you have to play a lot. Just play your guitar. Try to, you know, maybe you don't even have the idea of writing a riff, but you want to practice rhythm guitar for a while. So what I did is I just sat there and I literally jammed before I hit record on the video. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I did the one thing and I was like, oh, yeah. So that's kind of how it all starts. You know, you just have to play a lot. You know, work on stuff. Working on songwriting is a very, you know, powerful tool to be able to do that. Work on your riffs, you know, playing to a metronome. If you have a way of having a drum loop, that's a very useful way to kind of like work on songwriting, because you could just be jamming on it. 9 times out of 10, you know, 90% of your riffs that you're going to come up with aren't going to cut it. They're not going to be your favorite. You're not really going to like them. But what we can do is there's that one idea, and it makes it all worth it. If you sat there and riffed for 5 hours and you get one idea out of it, worth it. Because that's what you want. You just need one idea to build off of, and all of a sudden that sparks all this creativity. So the first thing is you just got to play a lot, you know. Work on writing riffs. You could work on learning chord progressions, stuff like that. Like maybe you want to do something, and sorry, I have a lot of distortion on right now. But so you have like a chord progression. You're doing G, and you go to B minor, go to E minor, D major. Now, knowing that, I could easily turn that into a riff of some kind. If I wanted to go that kind of route with the riff. But it's very, very useful to sit there and just practice playing. Alright, so tip number 2 is build it. Like I said, it all starts with one idea. That's what you need to spark that interest in creating a song. So what I did was I was actually going, I was playing a Zeppelin riff, and I was just like, oh, cool, yeah. And then I kind of like was messing around, and to me that riff I came up with has this like Billy Squier, you know, Led Zeppelin vibe going on with it. And all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, and then I was like, oh, what if I went to F? You know, like just knowing some chord progression stuff. I was like, F. But when I was doing that, I was like, okay, I dig where that's going, but I'm hearing something else in my head, you know, on that riff, and that's why I went. And And that's where, like I said, just playing and for one, learning a lot of other stuff helps a lot. Learning other people's songs, you kind of hear like that's the total like Leonard Skinner doing those double stop power chords, stuff like that, and it just all kind of molds itself into this, and that's what you want to build the lick into something. And actually, just from a songwriting perspective, you want to build the song. I love songs that they start off like very quiet. Like maybe if I was to turn that into a song, I would go, first I would turn my guitar volume on. Something real easy, and all of a sudden. Right there, I did that on accident, and that bend, building. As soon as I played that, I was like, oh, I need that bend to be in there. that bend was meant to be there. If I keep it in tune, it's meant to be there. But that's a huge thing, Don't try to write the song all at once. It could take you weeks to write a song. It could take you 5 minutes. I have songs where I done 30 minutes songs written. I'm like, oh my god. I have songs where I've had parts all lined up and it's just missing that one little thing. And sometimes just trying to build off of the existing parts, like if I just had a riff that went, it's not exactly the most exciting, but I like the kind of like the attitude and delivery of it. Got a little bit more chordy. Oh yeah, filled it out. I got that paginess and Number 3 is it is all about the groove. It really is. Even no matter what kind of music you play or listen to, odds are there's going to be some groove to it. And to me, if you can play something that people start going like this, they're like, oh, down and down and moving to it, you've connected with them. And the more ways you can connect with a person, maybe it's maybe you're an amazing guitar player who can play these very like Jack Gardner is a person who comes to mind, who is like this crazy shredder, but it's all so rhythmic. It's so interesting, and he's playing with this rhythm, and you're kind of bobbing around with what he's playing leads. And I think it's so important to connect with people on the rhythmic level, because if I just played this, to me, that doesn't do anything for me necessarily. So when I'm listening to that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I like the tone. That would be my response to that. But you get that little that swing to it, and I can't help but move around myself, and I can't help but think that the more you're involving you into the song, you're moving around with it. You're like, oh yeah. It's just gonna be a better song because more of you is involved, physically, mentally, into the actual writing of the music. So how do you get this kind of swing in your playing? Gotta practice it. You want to learn stuff, learn some old Elvis tune. Something like that, learn some Beatles, different shuffles that people have done. And play the riff right. Unlike how I choose to play guitar. But that's the whole point, just learn all these different rhythm examples, and then you kind of put it into your own playing, and all of a sudden it's your own thing. So definitely rhythm is king. So tip number 4 is the most important thing about a song is the song. I highly recommend not writing things that are, complicated for the sake of being complicated. Now, if you like that kind of music and that's just what you want to write, go for it. Do your own thing, absolutely. But that opening riff. So. Now, I almost would want to hear a slide, kind of I don't have a slide. Something like that, very simple, because the riff is pretty busy. So, when I have a busy riff, I try to complement it with maybe a more simple guitar line. And sometimes it works well when you have busy riff, busy guitar line, but sometimes you want to have that balance. So even though the riff is pretty, moving, like lots of notes are involved in it, and I'm going up. So stuff like that, like a perfect example is like Big City Nights by Scorpions. Like, to me, that riff is pretty, there's a lot going on in that opening riff and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden he comes in, very simple but melodic, and I think that just plays back into the last one we talked about. It's all about the groove. Whenever you're really complimenting the song, the rhythm and the groove of it doesn't suffer. So if I was doing that riff, and I was like, okay, you hear that, and then all of a sudden I'm like, over here. You can hear my hands are not warmed up to play fast stuff. Like, that doesn't complement the song. That's not, adding anything to it other than, me trying to show that I can play fast. So that isn't appealing to me. There's moments when playing fast fits so well. To me, that's not one of them. And you just want to make sure that the song is not suffering for the fact that you want something to be complicated. So tip number 5, and of course there are so many more that could be involved in this one, but I want to throw this one out there, is I want you to do the opposite. So if you're writing a rock song, like what I'm writing right now, it's very easy to think that, well, this has to be a rock song. You can't incorporate elements of other songs. So by doing the opposite, what I mean is like incorporating other styles of music into that. Because to me, when I hear someone all of a sudden bust out, a funk rhythm, I'm like, oh, that's so good. That's perfect. Like, that's what I want to hear. I want something that I'm not expecting. Because for one, it'll make it exciting and fun for you, and exciting and fun for the listener. And that's what you want. You want that, even though you're not in the same room as the person listening to the song, you want to be able to create that connection. So if I was to do this riff, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first riff, then I'm going to change keys. I'm going to go up to C, and then I'm going to, let's see, the volume knob on my Les Paul doesn't work too well, so make sure I can get a clean enough sound. So you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. I'm going to flip genres on you, and we're going to go like this. So I love what just happened there because it was like total rock sesh. We're jamming out, and all of a sudden, boom, jazz breakdown. And I love stuff like that. And because as soon as I hear someone else do that, my ears are just like, that was awesome. I want to do that. And I've heard that in numerous bands, and it's not something I created, but it's a very, very powerful tool. And sometimes it just frees up your mind from thinking like, oh, this is a rock song. It has to be rock. And it's like, wait. What if I didn't keep it rock the whole time? What if it went jazz? And then all of a sudden you're like in this other direction, and that's what your mind needed to finish the song. Alrighty, that is going to wrap it up for us here today. Now, another huge thank you to Distrokid for sponsoring this video. I would never send you guys to something that I don't use myself and that I wouldn't, recommend. So make sure you check them out. Like I said, if you want to sign up for that, you can save 7% for your first year. And it's truly a great service for a working musician. And the biggest of all thank yous to you guys, because you are amazing. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you got something out of this one. I will be seeing you all next week with the next video. And until next time, I will see you later. High five in the streams. See you later, guys.